What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. A little bit of an early video today. You're probably wondering, did I even get any sleep last night? Well, my voice is still a little bit hoarse, so I do apologize about that. But nevertheless, guys, Bitcoin is still up over 30% in basically the last 48 hours. And you can see right here, it doesn't really look like Bitcoin wants to stop. So I do want to talk about everything that's going on today, what is happening in the charts, and I want to talk about who may potentially be buying in the background, because we have some very interesting data that I want to go over in today's video. But before we dive in, I think it's time for a little bit of a celebration. Roll the clip.
Check this out.
So my goodness, did these shorts get wrecked? You can see right here, there's actually $322 million worth of shorts being liquidated. So the bears are not happy today. And one thing that I did want to point out, which I actually mentioned over on my Twitter, if you're following me, is that we did in fact close the CME futures gap right here, and that gap was up at around $35,180. So, we always talk about these gaps. We know that they eventually get closed, and we did in fact close it. So obviously the biggest question is, now that we did close the gap, are we looking for some type of a pullback, or are we just going to continue to the upside? Well, I will get into the TA in just a bit, but I did want to talk about what is happening right now, especially in the news. So has the crypto bull run started? Go home, bears, says Morgan Stanley. Well, this was the topic that we had on the Crypto Crossfire live stream, if you guys watched it, where basically we were discussing whether or not the bull market had begun, and I said yes, because everything was pointing to the fact that the bull market had begun. But again, hindsight being 2020, how long do you actually want to wait? You want to wait till we go all the way back to $70,000 and then we can say the bull run started? I mean, you're missing out on the entire move, right? But you know who doesn't think that this is a real bull run? Our good old friend, Peter Schiff. That's right. He says speculators are buying Bitcoin now because they think other speculators are waiting to buy a Bitcoin ETF. They will soon discover that there are far more speculators waiting to sell than waiting to buy. And he also went on to say Bitcoin is now trading at 35K. Of course, this is a little bit later. The price went even higher as speculators bet on SEC approval of GBTC converting into an ETF. Such a conversion will likely mark the top of the rally. If Bitcoin doesn't sell off prior to approval, the sell-off will be less severe if the ETF conversion is rejected again. But let's not forget the fact that Peter Schiff also on November 25th of 2018 said, don't make the mistake of thinking that buying Bitcoin below 3,800 is a bargain just because the current price is better than 80% below its record high. Bitcoin's price could easily drop another 80% from here, and at $750, it would still be expensive. Well, I'm happy that I and many other people did not listen to Peter Schiff, because Bitcoin never went below that level ever again. It was actually the best buying opportunity, and we definitely didn't get a $750 Bitcoin the way that we're not going to get the 20K, 15K, 12K Bitcoin that all these guys are calling for, right? So what were some of the big things? And there's one bit of news that also kind of just came out of left field. But according to the breaking information, you guys know this, but Grayscale, so the court has allowed the company to proceed with its Bitcoin spot ETF application and send the application back to the SEC. The court provided instructions to the SEC on how to proceed with Grayscale's Bitcoin spot ETF application. So basically, they're telling them, you can't reject this anymore based on what you've already said. You either essentially ultimately have to approve it, or you're going to have to come up with another reason to reject it. But they're obviously running out of reasons, especially now that all of these other companies are working with them. They're making the necessary amendments. And, eventually, a lot of people are saying even by January, we could have multiple potential ETFs approved. Another big thing, now, this may not be breaking news specifically, but we did have Judge Torres signing the order officially dismissing the case against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson of Ripple. Now, obviously, as you can see, this was, dated back on October 19th when it happened. But if we come up here, the dated filed was, in fact, yesterday. So this solidifies it. This puts the official nail in the coffin. So the SEC is just losing. And, it's funny. You're seeing all of these judges, senators, members of Congress. You have, Patrick McHenry, all these different people just coming out and realizing how ridiculous the U.S.'s stance has been and how cryptocurrency is the future. Oh, and you want to know who else? Who else just kind of reversed their stance? Hong Kong. Hong Kong has reversed their anti-crypto stance. Their financial regulator has updated their crypto policies, allowing retail investors to engage in spot crypto and ETFs with certain conditions. So is it possible that some of this pump might even have to do with Asia? Could it be Hong Kong? Because we know that even though China does not necessarily allow exposure to Bitcoin and crypto, well, these guys, they kind of just skirt around it, right? And they just go through Hong Kong, right? That's how they're doing this. So it's all just smoke and mirrors. It's all just a big game. Look, if they want to get it, if they want to get involved, they will get involved. But here is the big kicker, and this is what I wanted to talk about. So we have aggregated open interest of Bitcoin futures. Now, you may be saying, oh, well, it kind of fell off a little bit here. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the overall trajectory, with the exception of right here, and of course this area. Now, I just want to point out that this area right here, this was right when we had that massive, massive crash area. But just look at the general trend of it, right? The general trend, as you guys can see, it's basically going, essentially up and to the right? But if we come over here, this is even more interesting. So we have CME Bitcoin open interest at an all-time high, surpassing 100,000 Bitcoin. Now, why is this important? Well, if we come over here and we compare it to some of these other players, right, you'll notice that it's actually now the second largest at an all-time high of 25%. And really the only thing that's higher than this is Binance. So if you just put together the puzzle pieces, who are the people that are using CME Bitcoin derivatives? Now, of course, this is futures. These are cash settled. So this isn't as good, but obviously this is showing that they're not able to get into a spot Bitcoin ETF because a spot Bitcoin ETF doesn't exist yet. But this is the institutions, guys. Who else do you think is using this? All right. These are all of the people who don't want to self-custody. They don't trust things like Coinbase, but they will use a regulated entity that they're familiar with. And since we don't have BlackRock and since we don't have all these other ETFs, they are currently over using the CME futures. And you can see right here that it is definitely going up. And if you don't believe me, we also had a report by digital asset manager CoinShares that actually helped to pretty much validate this theory. So they say crypto products have registered institutional inflows for a fourth consecutive week. In fact, they've done 66 million in inflows in just the last week. So it clearly appears that the institutional appetite for crypto investment products are hitting new levels as more money pours into crypto funds. So this obviously shows that cryptos are on their 4-week streak, with Bitcoin obviously being the largest, accounting for 84%. According to James Butterfield, the head of research at CoinShares, it's a scenario that suggests that the short short sellers are in fact losing their confidence. So obviously this is showing us that the institutions are getting eager. They're dipping their toes. They want to dive in head first, but they don't have that regulated entity yet, right? I showed you with Larry Lepard the other day that he was talking to a very wealthy friend, right? Probably like a billionaire. I don't know how much money this guy has. And, this guy was like, yeah, I want to get involved in Bitcoin. I want to get involved in this, but I just don't feel comfortable until the ETF. So that is a fact. So let's dive in. Let's have a look super quick at the charts again. And I just want to stress before we get into the charts, I just want to stress one more time. I would be shocked if this is, necessarily like one of these, okay? Going into something like this type of a parabolic trend. We could be entering that. I don't necessarily know. I'm thinking, where we are right now is, we're coming out of something like this. We could have this run up, right? We could, coming out like this, we could have this run up, and then we may have that sideways cool off period. I don't think we're going to go as low as we did here, only because that was COVID. That was unexpected, But if you kind of just scribble this out, let's just scribble it out. I know you guys love when I draw. I'm like the most sloppy sketcher on these charts. But what did it do? It had this crazy exuberance. It came back down, and then it would have probably just chopped sideways, right? So I think that's kind of where we're at right now, where you could see us come up and then maybe come down, and at some point you'd have some of these moving averages, kind of starting to go like this. Maybe we do come down and revisit the 26K range at some point and then continue to go sideways. But again, I just don't see a scenario in which we're coming back into here and closing, down at like 15, 18, even, 20, because even the lowest moving average, which is this 50, is sitting at 25,400. So, I mean, you would be talking about breaking some massive, massive structure, right? And again, I showed you guys that the super guppy is starting to flip into the cyan, and eventually these EMAs tend to flip into the green, and once we flip into the green, we obviously tend to stay there in a long time. Again, we have the EMA ribbon. I'm not going to keep harping on that. And, here's the cautionary part of what we're doing. So you can see right here, we are clearly in a bit of a parallel channel, right? It's pretty clear. I mean, you can see right here, very clear resistance, very clear resistance, very clear resistance, very clear support, very clear support, very clear support. And then what did we have right here? Well, right here, we had a little bit of a fake out, right? We had a little bit of a bear trap. So would it be possible to break up here, maybe put in a bit of a bull trap, and then fall back into this? Yes, I think that would be very likely, because that's more along the lines of the sideways consolidation that we would expect to see leading into the halving. So, again, I'm not getting bearish. I'm just saying that the likelihood that what we're doing right now turns into this, okay, where Bitcoin just breaks out and just pumps, literally 570% in 37 bars. No, I don't personally think that's happening. I could be wrong. But I do still think that this is a very bullish setup. And having a look right here, we have gotten sort of past this first area of resistance, which I am quite surprised that we actually have broken into this. But keep in mind, these are weekly candles, and it's only Tuesday. So we do have until the end of the week. We could potentially get a wick down rejection. But the next level, as you guys can see right here, is this area. And that area also had some very strong support at around 37,270. So if I had to give a guess, my honest opinion, and it's hard to predict these things because, I'm not Nostradamus and you would be guessing, I would think that you would be looking for some type of a cool-off period relatively soon. However, if we did reach the peak of exuberance, then I would say that I would go at this level. My target would be around 37,278. And then I would honestly say we would be due for a pullback, even if from that level was to come back down and revisit this area right here, or even lower, actually, believe it or not, even down to about 29,500. But as you guys see, even if we were to do that, what would we be doing? We would still be putting in a higher low structure, right? So that's fine. It's okay. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bittersweet. Like, I love to see Bitcoin pump, but I also get very sad that I don't have more Bitcoin. So I don't mind it going down a little bit to accumulate a little bit more. And I know my box is probably in front of this, volume range area, but you don't really have to worry about this right here. What I do want to point out is how it just starts basically falling off a cliff right here. So, it does kind of make that plausibility that if you do kind of start to pump, you could move through these areas quite quick, which I guess would invalidate my, super crazy pump theory. But at the same time, because there's not a lot of volume range at those levels, you could also fall back through them quite quick. So, you know what I'm trying to say? If we had like a massive pump, excuse these drawings, like a massive pump up here, which we're not going to go that high. That'd be all-time highs. But, something like that really quick, it could fall even harder. So this is sort of the area where you do want to be careful about those crazy pumps, because they could have also crazy pullbacks just because of the lack of that volume range right there. But again, ultimately, we're still seeing the majority of the money flow moving to the upside. And it does look like, even if we do have a pullback, that Bitcoin ultimately does want to continue its path to the upside. So that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day. Again, could Bitcoin pump to 37 or even 45 or something crazy like that? Yes, it could. But I do think it would be very volatile. And I honestly don't think the price would stay there. It would probably come back very quick just because of the lack of the volume range in that area. Remember, you want to build a base. You want to build a foundation, right? And you want to build that structure. You don't just want to start, think about building a house, right? You don't want to just start putting, random poles up everywhere. Oh yeah, the house, look how fast the house is going up. Yeah, the house went up really fast. It's probably going to fall down really fast too, because you didn't take your time to build that structure, right? So it is okay if we come back down now. It is okay if we go sideways a little bit and rebuild that, build that base, build that structure. And again, it's more time to accumulate for a lot of people. Again, it's nice to see it pump, but it sucks because you always wish you had a little bit more, right? So ultimately, that is what I'm looking at. And I will keep bringing these videos to you as frequently as I possibly can. Of course, turn on the bell notification, because I don't know when these videos are going to come out, because I'm obviously not based in US time right now. So that is it for me. Again, guys, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Please excuse my voice. I don't know if I have maybe I have bronchitis. I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know, but I guess I wouldn't probably be feeling this well if I did, huh? So anyway, guys, make sure you check out these tutorials that are popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. I love you guys. I hope you're enjoying the pump. And also make sure you guys go follow me over on Twitter X. I've been posting some nice little mini novels over there for you guys. So, all right, until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.